Welcome to the Hellmouth, everybody. I hope you're doing 5x5. This is Major Slayage, Ket Arik Rewatch, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm Eric. To my right, your left, is my co-host. She's known as half of the powerhouse duo that is Kim and Ket Stay Alive, maybe. I know her as my wife, the lovely, the talented, the hilarious, the one and only Ketryn Porter.
You are hired to do my introductions. It'll be everywhere. So like I walk into a grocery store, I want this introduction.
You got it.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much for sticking around for his job interview.
It's funny. People say the one and only, and I think they overuse that, but you might literally be the only Ketryn Porter in the world.
That's how I like it.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you definitely know there's someone else named Bryan Cranston that's not the Malcolm in the Middle guy.
Bryan Cranston.
I'm just saying it's a name that probably other people
like,
have.
Of all the names in the world, like one might pick John Smith or...
What I'm saying, but when has anyone introduced the one and only John Smith? But you might hear someone say the one and only Bryan Cranston. Even though there's several.
I hear you.
Bryan Cranstons in the world.
I hear you.
As weird as my name is spelled, I happen to know for a fact there's another Eric Martin, and he lives in Texas. And I get a lot of his email, a lot of his like important emails, like his car stuff, and not so much lately. But I get his bank stuff.
Maybe he died.
Ooh.
Maybe that's why.
Starting it off on a bummer, guys. R.I.P.
Also, I just realized that like I like to watch you talk, like, but it because of where the camera is, it looks like I'm fully ignoring you.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Like it looks like I could not
be
less interested in what you're saying, which true to life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that reflects our private life. Welcome to our living room, everybody. This is just how it looks all the time.
Yep.
No, just kidding.
Don't tell our landlord.
No, this is where we shoot our OnlyFans, though.
I didn't know that we were doing that. We've been married for 16 years. How's it going? Our OnlyFans.
We don't have one, but we should have one. We should do an OnlyFans for this show. Like not get naked.
Do I not know what OnlyFans? Like, do I not know what OnlyFans is?
I think
Isn't it for nakedness?
I think it is primarily that, but I think we could expand our horizons a bit. It's like instead of having a Patreon, we just do whatever we would do on Patreon on our OnlyFans, and that way we come off like really edgy.
You've always had such lucrative ideas.
So join our OnlyFans.
I'm not joining our OnlyFans, but you should definitely.
Everyone else should
join.
Yeah. This is it. We've been planning this for a while. It's exciting to finally be doing it. I'm really excited. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
I'm wearing 2 different colognes.
Are you serious?
No, that's Always Sunny reference.
Oh.
When they go out to dinner, Max wearing 2 colognes.
Was he wearing 2 colognes or too much cologne?
No, he said I'm wearing 2 different colognes.
That's funny.
Let us know in the comments if we fucked that up. I guess it's time to get this out of the way.
I'm very aware of how much cologne you have on.
Now you get the reference.
This is our Always Sunny podcast.
We're also going to be a little 30 Rock in there and a lot of Arrested Development as well. A lot of Veep. And Veep. So if you like those shows, you're going to be right at home here. Want to get this out of the way right now. Most of what I say is wrong, both factually and opinion wise. Mm-hmm. So if I screw up something, I'm going to say it very confidently, but if I screw up something factual, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if I have a really bad opinion, feel free to let me know that as well.
And if I say something wrong or have a really bad opinion, call the hospital because you're having a stroke. That doesn't happen. Call the hospital.
Well, because you're having a stroke, you would call.
Yeah, but you're not like calling that. You're not like
calling. Yeah, you would call 911. They would arrange all of that. So,
right.
You know what? Let's start the episode over. Back to 1. Now that we're nice and warmed up. What I like about this setup here is my day job. I work on the show RuPaul's Drag Race every summer, and little known secret. After RuPaul walks the runway and introduces the guest judges, once he's behind the guest panel, from the waist down, he's in sweatpants. Mm-hmm. So we similarly cannot be. I guess we could see yours a little bit. You would need at least that much, but I don't know why I'm touching you in your. It's for OnlyFans.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I could totally be Winnie the Poohing it right now, and nobody would know.
Oh no, I'm just wearing like a thick denim belt,
cummerbund.
Yeah, I'm wearing a thick denim cummerbund.
I know one of the things KK Sam represent, by the way. That's our other show that she co-created and co-hosts, and I produce and edit.
You too can have this shirt. Just go to our merch store.
We don't have any Major Slayage merch yet, so you'll have to settle for some KK Sam merch. But on that show, one of the things that people respond to is the little bit at the beginning where you to talk about your lives. So I wanted to maybe steal that and just ask you if there's anything going on in your life that you want to share with the they're not Sammys. I mean, anyone watching this has probably come over from that show, so there are probably a lot of Sammys checking this out, but we don't have a name for people that watch this yet.
Well, I just realized something in real time.
What's that?
That I'm really excited. I just realized this. In this section, I can come to you with any grievances I may have as a wife, and you have to take it in with the showmanship that you bring to the show. You can't get defensive. You can't get annoyed.
Unless there's comedy value in my defensiveness, in which case.
I can assure you it's never funny. So that's what this segment is going to be. Eric's going to tell you about his life.
And then she's going to...
And I'm going to tell you about how every time he uses my fucking bathtub, it's very obvious that somebody else was just using my bathroom.
Yeah, I have my own bathroom, but it's just a shower. So if I want to take a bath, I have to use hers. And apparently I don't do it right. But
nope. What's going on in your life?
I guess the only thing going on in my life for the last few weeks is I've started taking MAJOR, which is a weight loss and diabetes medication. I am diabetic. And if you haven't heard of MAJOR, it's kind of like Ozempic. It's similar. If Ozempic is Coke.
Sorry, I wanted to see if people could hear my stomach growling.
I definitely heard it. But like if Ozempic is Coke, then MAJOR is Pepsi. So I'm on one of the two big ones. And I guess poetically, because of the MAJOR, I no longer crave soda.
Yep.
So we got
Coke
that going
or
for
Pepsi.
us. Yeah. So having a great experience on that so far. So this might be...
We are not sponsored by MAJOR.
We're not sponsored by anybody.
Just to be clear.
But as you watch this over the next few weeks, if I look like a melting candle, it's because I'm healthy and losing weight under the guidance of medical professionals. But we may look back on this first episode as Fat Arik, and I'm very excited to see where we are 3 months from now. So that's what I've got going on. I
love it.
So so how the show works? We're gonna talk about each episode of Buffy. We also record a watch along separate from this because we have to watch the episodes to kind of bone up,
yes,
if you will. So we record those as well.
For anybody that thought we were just going to be making up the plot of every Buffy episode without watching it, I'm so sorry. Maybe this isn't the show for you. I'm sorry. We actually are going to be watching it and telling you about the show.
Yes, but my point is those watch alongs exist. There's somewhere I put we did a test episode on the Buffy film, and I put some of the clips from our watch along there on social media. I imagine we'll continue to do that with the episodes week to week. Not sure yet how or if we'll deliver them in total, although I have talked to some people that are interested in like feature length or episode length commentary. So we will be exploring that. I guess let us know if that's something you're interested in as well. Cause we had to watch it anyway. So we decided to record those. We're coming at you every week on a Monday, which I guess is my first major fuck up of the show is I was like, we're going to launch on April 1st and we come out every Monday. April 1st is a Tuesday.
Yep.
So this one will be out April 1st, but then from now on, Mondays, look for the new episodes here.
Yeah. Also, I swear to God, I'm watching my husband talk. Like, I'm not just fully
our monitor is
ignoring
just
him.
off camera.
Like, it just looks like...
We may have to move that. We'll have to figure that out.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll try and remember to look at you here.
Anything else about how the show works that we need to get into?
No, I think... I will sort of steer the train in terms of beat by beat what's happening, just so that we make sure we're kind of covering everything. We'll have some superlatives, some faves,
we do some yearbook stuff at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
So that's a tease. Stick around for that.
But yeah, in general, we're just gonna, take a little ride through each episode.
And those of you just getting to know us, Ketryn, in addition to being my wife and a podcast host and a dog and cat mom, is a witch. And so we're going to start off every episode with just a little spell,
Thank you for reminding me. I totally
I've got a little rundown written right there. Yeah. So I will never forget that stuff. But,
great. So this is just a really simple little spell for new beginnings. You can utilize each of the elements in one of two ways. For instance, fire destroys and it also sparks. Same with any of the other elements. So we're going to use fire as a spark today. And we've both set an intention that has to do with new beginnings, auspicious new beginnings.
Yeah, it's a new show for us. Also, this episode deals with Buffy's new beginning, moving to Sunnydale. So we thought it appropriate to do a spell around new beginnings.
Here, hold my mic.
You got it. Here, this one will be our
which one is this
atmosphere mic. Okay. Oh, you can just do both of them, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to do them separately.
Okay. Cool. So we've written down a sort of a new thing, an intention for a new beginning. In our real life witch cauldron back here. Ooh. Some cool flash paper. We got actual fire on the show. Fire Marshal is not pleased, but just don't tell him.
Oh my gosh, it looks so pretty.
Rad. So yeah.
As soon as that, hold on, I gotta wait till it fully burns up.
Okay.
And then we can start the show.
Fire sounds happening. I don't know.
Almost out. And wow.
This is really good. We did out. We didn't do a test run of that and how long that takes. So
I can't control this. I can't control the elements, my love.
I thought you were a witch.
Well, but
you call on them.
I call on them, but then they do what they're going to do.
Elements.
Yeah, exactly. So.
All right. So you want to dive into the Hellmouth?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ketryn Porter.
All right. So we open on two 28-year-old high school students. Wild thing. I mean, just wild thing about casting. The way that casting directors are like, we're casting high schoolers, so we're calling in anyone 18 to 47 for this role. And we see that one is a pushy douchebag. That I probably would have made lots of mistakes with when I was younger. And the other is a blonde damsel in distress, something I've never been in my life. And they're
blonde
breaking
or a damsel in distress? You were briefly blonde while you were getting your hair dyed green or blue.
Oh my gosh, for mere moments. And I looked insane.
I thought it didn't look terrible, actually.
I looked insane. And so they're breaking into Sunnydale High School to get into some mischief and possibly each other. JK, she's a vampire.
Which I have to say...
Sorry, our dog is coughing, if you're wondering what that sound is.
Ethel is sitting right down here because she's got separation anxiety. And if we left her in the house while we did this, we don't want to know what would happen. So she's with us. If she walks over here, maybe we'll let her say hi. But this, the vampire reveal...
Yeah.
I think was really freaking cool. Now we live in a world where
it existed.
That exists, and not necessarily that this show invented that, but it was super effective. And I think it right off the bat, it tells you everything you need to know about the show.
Yeah, I would agree. I was trying to watch this episode from the perspective of never having watched it before, and man, is this a solid pilot.
Yeah, this teaser, this cold open is great because it sets up the subversion of your expectations. It also weirdly, which I didn't realize until we just did the rewatch, Darla is sort of the counterpoint to Buffy, the small blonde girl.
Yeah.
But she's the monster. She has the power. Buffy has the power as the Slayer. There's a lot of themes, a lot of stuff explained about what to expect the show in the first minute, which bravo.
Yeah. And then we move into the credits, and they also are they're explicit. They want you to know that you know what is happening in this show.
Well, does that precedes the credits actually? The prologue.
Oh, the prologue is where we see.
We get this speech. This time we should have written it down. Where it's
I
just
know.
Like, in every generation,
a Slayer is born,
and she alone can beat up the bad guys.
Evil. Yeah.
It's so clunky. It's so weird. It's frankly cheating. So prologue aside, solid opening.
Yeah, that does sort of, it gives me, so another thing that you guys don't know is probably like what each of our relationships with the show is. He and I are 8 years apart, so we're not a generation apart, but we're definitely like an experience apart. I would say
kind of like right in the middle of you and your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Weirdly.
So we do have, we compare our experience of different shows to each other, and we were in such different points in our life that I find it interesting. But I had actually never watched this show until the whole thing was out on DVD, because this was actually a show that my dad watched. And I thought about being a 14-year-old, seeing that prologue to a show that my dad was watching and understanding like, oh, this is why like I never watched it when it was on, because it was just like, this is so cheesy looking, honestly. And then also like my dad thinks it's cool, and at that time like I didn't know how cool my dad was, or that we have so much in common or like the same things. So I only watched Buffy because I ran out of other things to watch when I got mono.
Whereas I, being 183 years old, watched this on television. And jumping ahead, spoilers if you haven't seen the show, but things like the dawn reveal and then having to wait a week to figure out what the hell that was, like that was exciting. I was in my 20s, so this was not necessarily appointment TV. I was going out a lot, but it was a show I watched regularly. And if it was on, I always checked it out. And I had friends that watched it, so we would talk about it. So it was definitely a thing that like I watched as it was happening.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just something that as I watched the prologue this time, it was just like, oh, I was watching it as my 14-year-old self while my dad is, it was just never going to be something that we would watch together at the age that I was.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up the just the little bit of age difference and how meaningful that was when we were younger. We've had this conversation a lot of times where she'll be like, yeah, I remember where I was the first time I heard that song. I was in 6th grade. And I go, oh, I was a sophomore in college, which sounds crazy like in those days. But like right now, I mean, she's frankly the more mature one. And I feel like we're the same age.
You took my joke. I was literally about to be like, which is so weird because now I'm the older one.
You definitely are the older one.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Back to Buffy.
So after the credits with the theme song from Nerf Herder, which, man, that fucking song slaps. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I love it. I can't not headbang to it.
Yeah, well, not only is it great, but it's weird because they re-recorded it at a certain point.
Oh, this sounds like nerd facts that I won't care about.
So the first, I'll have to look up. I didn't prepare it for today, but like we'll definitely point out as it happens. At some point, a few seasons in, they re-recorded the song. They beefed up the guitars, heavier guitars, and just a better like audio fidelity recording of the same song. Trivia: do you know what a Nerf herder is? Do you know the reference?
No.
It's from Star Wars.
Okay.
It's an insult that Princess Leia calls Han Solo. She calls him a scruffy-looking Nerf herder. So that's where the band got their name. I'm going to be full of that kind of stuff.
Nerd.
That Ketryn's not going to care about at all.
Literally, that's when I'll take my drink breaks.
Okay, good.
All right, so
we're going to about the credits too, and
girl, what?
So apparently it was. Oh, that's the other thing we have to address here. I think we talked about this in the watch along, but we are going to do what we can to avoid talking about the creator of this show. Doing a little bit of separating the art from the artist.
Which, as a Harry Potter fan, I have a lot of experience.
Yeah. With. So when we need to refer to him at all, we're not going to call him by name. We're going to call him Tox Weasel. Mm-hmm. So if you hear us talk about that, that's why. Apparently his plan for the credits was to put Jesse's character, Eric Balfour, in the opening credits, so that it would be a bigger surprise and a shock. Ultimately, I don't know why that got voted down, but spoilers, but I won't explicit spoilers. They do that with another character down the line on the show.
Okay.
And it's fucked up. It's sad.
Oh, well, don't tell me because I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So, all right. So let's get back to the show. So we're going to cut to Buffy's getting dropped off at her first day of school, which is where we also meet Xander for the first time. We meet,
a great character intro for Xander. He's barreling through a crowd on a skateboard that he has no business being on based on the skill level he's presenting.
No.
And it's such a metaphor for who Xander is. He's out of control and he wants it to be everyone else's problem.
And he also wants a thing. So the thing that I found interesting is initially we made fun of like, oh, this is the first and last time we see Xander on a skateboard. But I don't think that was an oversight of the show. I now feel like that was a character choice and that this is who Xander is. This is a kid who's so desperate to stand out, who's so desperate to have a thing. I can see him going, I'm going to be the kid that skateboards.
He thinks he's Bart Simpson or Marty McFly.
But then he can't sustain it.
Wipes out spectacularly.
Yeah. So we're also going to meet Willow. How do we meet Willow? How do we meet her?
He wipes out at her feet.
Right.
At the stairs leading into the school.
So we get our first taste of sort of their partnership. And then we meet Jesse, who was an actor that was in 100% of everything you ever watched on TV during this time period.
I think that is accurate. Although weirdly, he lives in the same space in my head as Simon Rex. Like I kind of cross-reference. It's kind of
so funny.
Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman thing for me. Those two guys live in a similar space.
Maybe this is also like part of where we were age-wise. Like Simon Rex is like a very specific thing to me. Like,
did you ever see the
he was a VJ on MTV and like, girl, the things that he awoke in me.
Did you know he did like he didn't have like explicit gay porn, but he made gay porn where like he was fixing a bike and then starts jacking off. Like,
oh
yeah. So
look
that up if
on
you're
his
a Simon
OnlyFans
fan.
Yeah. So Eric Balfour plays Jesse. And then we sort of, this is where we're kind of meeting everybody. So we also meet their nemesis, Cordelia, in this scene. Are you shaking your head?
No, she's just phenomenal. She's just the best actor in the show.
Yeah.
And Charisma Carpenter she has the right name. She's like a Dickens character in that her name describes who she is.
Yeah.
Because she frankly acts circles around everybody else in this pilot.
She really does.
Yeah.
She really does.
Like, call her Riz from now on.
I love that. Yeah, let's do that. I also think I really related to the introduction of Cordelia and Buffy, where the popular girl meets the new girl and immediately sort of tries to ensnare her as the new girl. Because this is who I was when I started at St. Paul's. The popular kids all immediately befriended me, but I was too much of a dork and had never been popular before. I couldn't sustain it, and it didn't work out. They eventually figured out who I was, and I felt that trajectory that Buffy went through so hard. Where you're
going to spend 2 weeks in the popular table, and then your seat is no longer open.
Exactly. Now it happens faster for Buffy because she immediately sort of realizes that Cordelia is not her people when she is such a total bitch to Willow in a way that I was like, I can't believe that I still want to spend time with Cordelia. Like, that's how charming Charisma Carpenter is. Because
and casting wise,
we should want her dead immediately.
Well, speak for yourself. But casting wise, I think in an early iteration, she was originally cast as Buffy, and SMG was cast as Cordelia, like while they were still sorting it out. And then I think they, cooler heads prevailed. And I think everyone wound up where they were supposed to be, because Sarah is iconic and Cordelia is perfect as Charisma Carpenter is perfect as Cordelia. So
you know who else is perfectly cast?
Allison Hannigan.
Principal Flutie. He steals the show.
Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold.
Steals the show. And
obviously, he makes a meal out of the one little scene he has.
Yeah, it's also a very silly character, and it's such a strange character. It's as strange to me, and I said this when we were watching it. It's as strange to me as the character choice of the basketball coach in the movie.
Yes,
where I'm just like, what is with this like this making self-help and mental health and that speak like a joke, like a running joke. Like it's such a weird 90s thing.
New age guru.
Yeah. And like anyone who talks like that is a kook. And it's just when you actually take what they're saying and remove the sort of kind of feeling to it, you're like, oh, they're just saying like totally like reasonable, healthy, kind things.
And people living in the 2020s in Southern California, that's just the way
how we talk. Yeah. So we also meet another very important character, and your reaction to Anthony Head as Giles tells you where you are in your development into adulthood.
Go on.
I watch it when I'm, a kid.
And he looks like
he's not even on my fucking radar.
Right.
Like I'm just like, oh, dad figure, know, like then it starts another D is added to dad. And then a Y is added, and all of a sudden,
it's like your sexuality is playing a game of horse. And
now it's like I watch it now, and I'm just like, Spike, Angel, Xander, get out of the way, bring me library daddy. Like it's just it's a wild ride.
How old do you imagine Anthony Head was in this pilot?
I happen to already know that he's like our fucking age. In the pilot.
Or younger, maybe?
Fuck off.
I remember.
I told you to never bring this up, ever. I said it in the live watch. I said, don't you ever fucking bring up what age Anthony Head is.
Well, that's the surest way to get it brought up on the show. And here he is. I remember having a similar thing when I learned that, like, James Gandolfini in the pilot for The Sopranos.
You wanted to fuck him?
No, he was 38.
That'll be weird when I turn 38. Just kidding. So we meet Giles.
Yeah.
And us watching that took a minute to sort of like remember, like, does Giles know that the Slayer is being sent to him? Why does he seem like sort of so confused by like whether or not this is the Slayer? I'm like, don't you think the council would have like sent him just like, a one sheet on Buffy?
Yeah, I mean, she existed before she had another Slayer.
Yeah,
like she's been in the Slayer game.
He's been assigned to her.
Well, I think that's interesting in that when we watched the film, Christy Swanson's interpretation of Buffy, she's just in everyday world and then gets this Slayerage thrust upon her. She's burdened with glorious purpose. Whereas when we meet Buffy,
she's trying to shun.
She's had it and pushing it away.
And retired. Yeah.
So it's a very different, Buffy's at a very different place in this pilot than she was in the film, which again, not a direct sequel. We'll get into all that as time goes on. But yeah, she is sort of like, I don't know. And she doesn't even seem to be able, even though he plops a big book in front of her that says vampire on it.
Right.
She doesn't seem to be able to clock that this is her new watcher. It's a British guy handing her a vampire book. And she's like, no, I'm good. And then he's also like, oh, maybe you're not the... So yeah, that's
weird.
Unnecessary shenanigans. They're just filling time at that point.
That's sort of what it felt like to me. And it feels like it comes together for her simply when Willow is like, the new librarian is from England.
The accent might have given that away.
Yeah.
She goes, wait, England. Oh, that's probably the
But also,
watcher.
Listen to this bullshit that I just realized. Why would she presume that England is where they make watchers? Her previous watcher that we meet later in a flashback, American.
American?
No. Well,
his name's Merrick.
Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck?
Zing.
Yeah. Okay. So Giles is like, the Hellmouth is Hellmouthing and you're the Slayer, and Buffy's like, deuces, I'm retired.
Yes.
And pieces out. And we're gonna cut to a scene in the locker room. Now, we also decided that we were gonna pick our favorite lines and our least favorite lines.
Best line, worst line.
This
may be making an appearance later.
I have a feeling that we may have chosen the same
worst line.
Yeah. And like kind of, did you choose one line or did you kind of choose?
No, I transcribed an entire scene that I'm going to do a dramatic reading at the end of this episode.
I think I'll play a role. I'll play the one sitting.
Okay.
And you can play the one standing, I think, because I think we have the same
we have
line.
We have a fun gag at the beginning of the scene where they're talking about the new girl and one of them's like, what kind of a name is Buffy? And then someone goes, hey, Aphrodisia. So it's like good, well written, good, punchy.
So what the fuck parent is naming their kid a name where the Latin prefix of it has to do with getting in the mood for sex? Aphrodisiac.
Yeah, no, I was with you the whole time.
Okay, just making sure. You had a little bit of a blank look on your face.
I was curious where you were going to take it.
Well, yeah,
people name their kids all kinds of weird shit, though.
I have a lot of opinions, feelings.
Well, you hate
names.
the name Buffy. You've got a lot of opinions about the name Buffy.
I don't hate the name Buffy. I'm confused by the name Buffy. It's just a wild, wild name. Like it's got connotations of being sort of like upper crusty. Sure, yes. Fine. It's meaningless. It doesn't have a meaning other than somebody referring to the word buff, which I'm just like, who's naming like their little teeny tiny baby girl Buffy? Like, it's just an insane choice.
Yeah, no, even though that word's in there, it never struck me that way. It's always up there with like Muffy for me. It's just like a country club name that someone would name their kid to tell the world we're affluent and we name our kids things like Muffy and Buffy.
I'm fully aware that I think about names too much. I get it. Anyway, so we're in the locker room.
Yeah.
With Aphrodisia and Aura is the other one. And they are...
This definitely is taking place in Southern California.
Sure. They're talking about the new girl that comes in and how weird she is, and she burnt down her past gym and blah, blah, blah. And then she opens her locker and a dead douche falls out.
It's the guy from the beginning that Darla, who we don't know her name at that point. We don't learn her name until later. Julie Benz from Dexter, by the way, playing Darla.
Yeah. Man, Sunnydale High's treatment of dead bodies is wild.
Because
wild.
Buffy learns of this, and maybe I'm skipping ahead. And then she goes to check on the body, and it's just laying there in a body bag, unattended, no crime scene tape.
Ma'am, there's no body bag.
It's just a blanket?
Yeah. It's just a blanket.
Oh, man.
But I'm like, where are the cops?
Where's the crime scene investigators?
Where's one strip of crime scene tape? I don't need you to fucking give me just give me just one little,
just the end of a race, just the end of a marathon, just one piece of tape that Buffy would have to burst through.
Or
to
you know what?
The body.
You're out of tape. Let's say you're out of tape. All right. Let's put him in a body bag. You know? Well, let's not grab a sweatshirt from the lost and found and put it over his head.
So are we to assume that the authorities have not showed up yet to investigate and they're just leaving the body for them? Or have they done their work and gone and just forgot to take the body with them? Because either
one is really concerning for the safety of the town.
Yes.
Which I think it's about to explain a lot.
Oh, that's why the Hellmouth is here, is because the authorities are a little bit lax.
They don't.
Vampire shit's concerned. I think we cracked the case, guys.
Yeah. So we're gonna go hang out with our soon to be Scoobies for a little bit. So Buffy comes up to Willow, and it's fucking Allison Hannigan. Man, this girl, we know her for playing the flute, but what she really plays is my heartstrings.
Hey-o.
So this one time at band camp,
she's in 3 major franchises.
Gigantic franchises.
She's in Buffy. She's in the American Pie movies, which there were several. And then How I Met Your Mother. And then went on to host Penn and Teller Fool Us just because she's like, let's make some more checks.
She's fucking dope. So Buffy comes up to her and is so fucking sweet. And Willow is just like, are you sure you want to be friends with me? It's so cute. I just love it. Xander and Jesse come up. Very Xander and Jesse. And
Xander, as Jesse points out, is a bibbling idiot, not a babbling idiot, not a bumbling idiot, but a bibbling idiot.
It
sounds like it's have something to do with the Bible. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But that's a weird line. It didn't make my best or worst, but it definitely like caught my ear.
Yeah, that's strange. And at this point, Cordy comes over, and it sort of chastises Buffy for her choice of crowd.
Yes.
But also to be like, hey, you're not going to meet the coach. He's busy with a dead body.
It's a woman with chest hair. That's
right. Yeah.
Like really body shaming, heteronormative.
Insult. And this is actually where my favorite line of this episode happens.
Do you want to save it and tell me later, or do you want to just go ahead?
I think I'll do it here because it's so subtle.
Okay.
It's not like it's because it's so about her delivery rather than what she says.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where you realize that Charisma Carpenter is just like rizzing all over the place.
She does. She's just.
So she walks up and she stands next to Jesse, who is, beneath her from her perspective.
Both physically and like hierarchically.
Yes.
Like it's very well. The physicality of the framing, the blocking emphasizes all of that.
And he, I think, kind of just like acknowledges that she's there, maybe like, hey, what's going on or whatever. And she literally just goes, oh, please. And keeps going with her line. Just the brushing off of the, oh, please. You're just like, oh, this bitch is professional. Because a less professional actor would definitely be like, please, and like not throw it away.
That's one of the things we always talk about when we watch shows is I think one of the greatest things an actor can do is throw away a line.
Yeah. Or know what to throw away.
Yeah. Not throw away randomly, but do it at the right time. One of our phrases that we use when someone just makes a meal out of every line is we say they're a hoarder because they don't know how to throw anything away. So an actor who makes everything an 11 is a hoarder, and we hate them.
Charisma,
we'll point them out.
Hate them.
Charisma's Charisma's a minimalist.
That's what I was gonna say.
She keeps nothing.
Yeah,
she throws away things.
I love it
liberally,
but she's so great. Because actually, we'll talk about this when it happens. But she has another one of my favorite lines where she hangs on to it because she knows when to hang on and when to throw something away.
She's flawless.
Yeah, she's incredible.
All right.
So there's a dead body in the gym, and Buffy is like, fuck. She's like, were there any marks? And of course, Cordelia is like, you're creepy. Don't ask about dead bodies, but she knows.
So then it's the scene where she goes and finds a body. I jumped us out of order there, but Buff goes to the library.
And so now she's like, God damn it. Mm-hmm. I guess you're my watcher. I guess I can't retire. Here we go again. This sucks. Those were the exact lines.
So she's like, I'm going to have to deal with this. It's clearly a vampire. I know how everything works here.
Yeah.
But they're not alone. She learned she also has to fight demons and succubi. And incubi. Oh, they're not alone.
Oh, right.
Not the vampires aren't alone.
Yeah, well, they're also not alone,
right.
But also Buffy and Giles are not alone because
dun, dun, dun.
Xander is in the library listening.
Creeping.
Yeah.
Creeping in the stacks.
Here's the whole effing thing. I do find it interesting that this is a brand new librarian and a brand new student, and he hears that vampires and demons are real and just goes, oh, snap. Vampires and demons are real. Not these two new people I've never met before are fully insane.
Right. Because he's not freaked out. He's not scared. He's mad
that he didn't know.
The world is keeping this a secret from him.
Yeah. Which is so.
Because it's Xander's entitlement.
Yes.
It's Xander's idea that he's supposed to be bigger and better and more important than he is.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of anger. He's secretly a very angry character.
Yeah. And I think there are other people that talk about the character of Xander and hate him. And what's so funny, I don't hate Xander, but I can't defend him. Like when people talk about the things that make them hate Xander, I'm like, I get it. I get it.
It reminds me of that video series, Zach Morris is Trash, where they go through and run down the plot of episodes of Saved by the Bell and put, hey, this guy that we all are supposed to think this lovable rogue, this kind of Ferris Bueller type is actually toxic as shit.
Yes.
And is fucking his friends over left, right, and center.
Yeah. But I think the reason that I have space for Xander is because to me, he is the most believable high schooler in this fucking cast.
Yeah, 15-year-old boys suck.
They suck so
They suck
bad.
Worse than vampires.
Yes, truly. And I mean, I know this will come up. I won't even have to try to get it to come up, but like he is the product of a patriarchy, and he is also an example of someone who would thrive in a matriarchy. And I say that with all of the love and respect and everything, that it's just like the way that he moves through his world, he would thrive in a matriarchy. And I can understand why he feels uncomfortable in a patriarchy.
I find that super interesting, and I look forward to you building the case over the course of many episodes.
Yeah. Now, are you saying that because you are genuinely curious, or you're like, this doesn't make any sense to me?
No, I think it makes sense, but I want to hear your specific reasons.
Okay.
I want you to make the case.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it sounds interesting.
Remind me when it comes up, that patriarchy matriarchy dichotomy, and I'll try to,
because this show is held up as this like feminist work of art, and I have some issues with that. I think we have to kind of look at that through the lens of who we've later learned the creator was. And
and also the Margaret Atwood quote of everything is the male gaze.
Right.
The male gaze is the male gaze. Like it's,
Well, I think that, I mean, what I'll say about that here without like belaboring the point, because we've still got half an episode to get through, is I think not only do we need to rescind some of the feminist bona fides that he was kind of granted, I think he inadvertently backed into some of that anyway.
Agreed.
We talked about in our watch of the film that we live in a world where Buffy is a thing. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like we just take it for granted. But that's an insane title. It's one of those, I compare it to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like these incongruous ideas that are kind of slapped together to become this thing. And it's meant to make you go, what the hell is that? Like, right. I think he started with, this is weird. Who's an unlikely vampire slayer, right? It's not Van Helsing. It's a cheerleader.
Right.
And so then I got this dainty blonde girl who's a cheerleader who's doing karate and fighting vampires. I think he started writing what titillated him.
Mm-hmm.
And then like sort of inadvertently created this feminist icon.
Right.
I think he was writing, this is weird. This is a funny sounding title. As I flesh it out, it's super titillating.
Yeah.
Probably the kind of guy who would get turned on to the idea of a girl kicking his ass.
Right.
And then as a writer, he's a talented guy. So you start to flesh it out and then you fill in all the blanks and then it becomes this thing. But I don't think he necessarily set out to write this feminist manifesto.
But man, did he claim it as soon as
anyone recognized it.
Yeah.
That's my take. Again, I'm usually wrong about stuff, so feel free to disagree in the comments. But that's how I interpret.
Though that is an opinion I also hold, and I'm actually weirdly never wrong.
Rarely. Very rarely.
See, that was an example of him being wrong all the time. Yeah.
Well, I think maybe I have this complex about thinking I'm wrong because I get told
you are
so frequently.
Yeah.
I'm reminded all the time.
Right.
So
all right. So let's see what all the hubbub is about. So Hellmouth, vampires, all this shit. Let's go see who's causing all the ruckus. It's underground.
Buffy's back on duty. She clocks in.
Yeah. And here is how we know that Sunnydale is a fanciful town in an alternate universe where California doesn't have earthquakes. Even though this was caused by an earthquake. But I'm just like, this is a very unstable structure. This is why we don't have an underground subway system.
Yeah, because earthquakes would crush it.
Yeah, but so here's where we are.
The bad guys live in these catacombs underneath the city.
Right.
Very perilously constructed.
Right. And we meet the dude who's all about harvesting souls. We don't quite know yet, like, what the mechanism by which he's trying to free himself from this prison. We just know that he can't get out of his prison. There's like a force field or whatever.
Reminds me of, and you haven't seen this yet, so I won't say too much in case you guys do it on KK Sam, but reminds me of Freddy in the beginning of Freddy versus Jason. He's kind of got no power and he needs certain hoops to be jumped through so he can get his power back and start menacing the world again.
Any goddamn reason to bring up Nightmare on Elm Street.
I will probably do it every single episode. But
Kim is going to lose her mind. Like all Eric cares about is Freddy.
I almost hung a Freddy glove on this set.
And I was like, what are you
it's not really part of Buffy. We don't need a. I also wanted to put a Captain America shield back here. She's like, yeah, let's not do that.
No,
so
we're doing Buffy. So all right, so we go underground and we meet the lead singer of a Christian heavy metal band.
Yeah, youth pastor Luke,
which is the most insane name for. I mean, I guess vampires are all named whatever they were named, but it just Luke to me is like Kevin the Vampire. Like it's just not. I don't know. Like I just feel like all vampires should be named.
Balthazar
the vampire,
or Amy Lynn, as Paul Rumens was named in the film version.
It's Amelin. I don't know why you're saying Amy Lynn. It's not Amy Lynn. It's Amelin.
I've never heard the word Amelin before. I've met people named Amy Lynn.
And did they look like Paul Rubens as a scruffy vampire with one arm? Is that the Amy Lynns that you've met? No, is that why it?
No.
Yeah.
It's Amy Lynn.
See? Always. And then we also meet Kevin the Vampire's boss, Kool-Aid Mouth.
Kool-Aid Mouth. What an interesting choice.
And I'm not the first person to have noticed that. And as someone who felt particularly traumatized by the Kool-Aid Mouth kid, everyone had a Kool-Aid Mouth kid in their class, and I learned that the Kool-Aid Mouth kid in his class was Eric.
Maybe not by the time I was in school, but you definitely married a Kool-Aid Mouth kid. I would say not only was I Kool-Aid Mouth, I remember specifically growing up in a trailer park, me and my friend Angie climbed up on the counter to make Kool-Aid. We got a bowl out. We didn't know it needed sugar, so we just opened the pack. We made it in a big salad bowl with water. And if you don't use enough water, that stuff stains. Like you can't get. So
people dye their hair with it.
I was Kool-Aid Mouth and chin and neck, and I had opera gloves made of Kool-Aid stains.
Quick question: How old were you?
I was like 4.
Quick question: Where were your parents?
Elsewhere in the trailer park.
Quick question: How have you made it to this day and age right now?
I think being neglected, being, as I've often said, being raised by raccoons, I think you learn survival skills at a young age. I was the product of questionable parenting from the jump.
I'm not questioning it.
You have a very formed opinion.
I definitively know it was bad parenting. Okay, okay, so we meet our villain, our big bad.
The Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid Man.
And he's actually got like a pool of Kool-Aid in his lair.
A little puddle.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's because it's certainly not blood.
No, it is not.
That was
strawberry Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that was if that is somebody's blood, I am concerned. Then we get your mini montage that you wanted so badly in the movie.
In the Buffy movie, before she goes,
but it's like barely a montage. Like, I'm sorry that you're even like.
Well, it's at least she considers 2 outfits and then chooses a third. In the Buffy movie, before Buffy goes to the dance, she holds up one terribly ugly dress. I think we even put a clip about this on our social media, and then we cut away and we see her. The next time we see her, she's in a completely different dress. So we missed the part where she chose the dress. We missed the part where we learned why she didn't wear the one dress. And we both decided we wanted a 2-hour montage of Christy Swanson.
We both decided. Eric decided, and I said I'll come. But like, no, he was like, so you wanted a dress montage.
Well, I love a dress montage, but I also just don't want a one shot of her looking at the dress that's not the dress with no explanation of why that's not the dress.
Okay.
It just was a waste of time. Here, at least, Buffy considers a couple outfits, and she even has she does a little monologue.
Yeah, where she
each one.
And did you appreciate how she simultaneously slut shamed herself and then also made fun of herself for being too prude?
Yeah.
Like I was.
Each outfit had a different story.
I was like, we are solidly in the late 90s where a woman can't do anything right. She's either a slut or a prude, and both are really, really bad. You should kill yourself. That was the messaging for women while I was growing up. Up until maybe sometime in the future. Maybe one day. And this is where Joyce comes in, and we really get a vibe of Joyce's parenting, which, speaking of bad parenting, this is not it. Yeah. She is fantastic.
Great mom.
One of the things that I also love is like, there's something about parenting where they sort of admit their mistakes. Like, Joyce isn't afraid to apologize if she fucks up. And I think that's like incredible parenting, and also just sort of being like, I'm trying to learn how to be the parent you need. Mm-hmm. Like that honesty I think is super dope, as opposed to like making mistakes because parents are human.
Right.
And then your kid goes, hey, I think that's a mistake. And they go, no, it's not. And you're just kind of like, what the fuck?
I saw like a motivational TikTok from like the corporate world. Sometimes I get just random stuff in there. And it's this guy going, I know I'm going to follow a leader if he says one of the following things. One of them is, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is, I was wrong. And one of them is, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I think that
gorgeous
is Joyce's parenting philosophy.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a leader we should follow.
Yeah. But Buffy's getting ready to go to the bronze. The bronze fucking fascinates me, bro. And it never stops fascinating me. Throughout 7 seasons, I am so fascinated by the bronze and what this establishment is.
Because it's a nightclub that teenagers go to?
It is a nightclub that teenagers go to.
Right.
Where there is a bouncer at the door.
Checking IDs,
but everybody is let in. And you can go there to study or listen to live bands, and they serve alcohol
and play pool.
It's what the fuck? It's like the room of requirement. It's like the club of requirement. Like It's just like whatever you want it to be.
No, I think there used to be, at least, I don't know if there still are because I'm well out of my nightclub going days, but there were some 18 and up clubs in LA.
But they didn't serve alcohol.
No, they did. You had to have a wristband, and you could only go on certain floors. Like you had needed a wristband to go up to the floor where the bar was. But if you were just there to hear the music and dance, you could be in there at 18. You couldn't be in there at 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these kids are not fucking 18 yet.
And I've watched this. No one's wearing a wristband.
No one's wearing a wristband.
No one's got an indication of their age.
And then you go, okay, maybe everybody that's going has a fake ID. No, there's no fucking way Willow Rosenberg has a fake ID.
No way.
There's no way.
Buffy, honestly.
Or Buffy. She's brand new. Yeah. So tell us what is the bronze? And should we open one? I guess. It seems that it's busy every night, every school night. It does not matter.
By the way, can we talk about how much the bands that play
are
the bronze are fucking amazing?
And I love
every
this
song
band.
in the bronze is awesome.
Yeah, slaps. I loved this band. I actually really was into this long-haired band. I can't remember the song. Let's look up. You know what I want to do? Can you find out the name of every band in every episode? Thank you so much. Great. Eric's going to find out the name of every band from every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And we will tell you what band it is in the next episode.
And wherever available, unless this already exists, which I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
I'll make a Spotify playlist of those bands, and we'll put our logo on there and call it Major Slayage Buffy Bronze Playlist.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool.
Great. Okay. So
anyone wants to help, by the way, I got my hands full with everything else about the show. Ketryn literally just walks in and sits down in her seat and picks up her mic.
Yeah.
Which is it's the natural order of things.
But. Yeah. I'm like profoundly lazy in a way that I still experience a level of shame, but now it's overpowered by my fascination at my own laziness. And I'd love to hear if you have a theory.
I don't find you lazy.
Girl, I've never gotten my own glass of water in the entirety of our relationship. I didn't do laundry for a decade.
And then when you do it now, you forget to put it in the dryer.
I do it poorly. Yeah.
What do you call that? Weaponized incompetence.
Yeah.
I don't find you lazy. I think you allocate your resources. I think you have healthy respect for separation of work time and private time. I think you value self-care. I like literally don't find you lazy. So.
Oh my God. This is so great. I love this. I have him so tricked. It's great. Okay.
Right,
so
back to the Hellmouth.
On her way to the bronze.
Yeah.
She meets
a
guy that the casting director found walking his dog. And that at this point is the extent of his talent. I'm so sorry.
He had the look. He
gets better. This is why I can tell you that David Boreanaz as Angel in this episode sucked.
Well, yeah, he's the weak link. He's the weak link.
And he sucked so much that it makes where he ends up, and I'll even include like Bones, like the show he's on now. Like he's so good now. No, but I'm saying like he's so compelling. He's so charismatic.
He figured it out.
You would not fucking know that for your life based on this pilot.
Now he's a big hunk of man and he looks good standing in the shadows.
Sure.
Although I think
he's no Daddy Giles, but
right. But I think, to me, what stands
he doesn't
out,
know what he's doing.
What stands out worse than his acting to me is the way he's written. He's
he doesn't know what he is.
He's unnecessarily mysterious. Mm-hmm. He could just say some shit. He could just help, but instead he's like one of those characters in a video game that you just walk up to and have a conversation with, and they help you onto the next part of your journey. He's like, the villagers went that way. Like, that's pretty much all he does.
Yeah. And
I know we needed to plant the seeds of him, but they gave him nothing to do, and he does it badly.
But also, this is my thing. We do need to plant the seeds. We know, having watched the entire series, that we get delicious, nutrient-dense cucumbers at the end of it. But the seeds that they planted were fucking potatoes, man. Like, they didn't plant the right seeds.
I actually prefer potatoes to cucumbers, so I don't know if I'm following this metaphor.
I also love potatoes. It went off the rails. I hear you. What I'm saying is they set out to plant a seed and they planted the wrong ones.
Right.
Because, like, I guess we're going to kind of do spoilers into that. We're going to assume that you've seen the series. I don't want to like go into detail. We can only talk about this. I want to attempt to avoid in detailed, intricate spoilers. But what I'll say is, like, obviously we learn that Angel's backstory is the reason that later on he's a very brooding character. There's no brood in this.
Yeah, he's real smarmy in this one. He's kind of like finger guns guy, which is not who we learn Angel to be.
He's also like, he also has a line reading at one point, and I think it happens later, so I won't talk about it here, but like, just insane line readings where, like, from an acting perspective, I'm not saying every line reading I've ever done of any line has always been spot on, obviously.
I will say that. I'm going to go on record.
Thanks. But if what I'm giving isn't the right vibe, that's a director's job to be like, hey, can you not say this line like a fucking idiot?
Well, television directing is a different art than film directing. Television director's job is to be a traffic cop, to get things set up quickly, get it in the can, move on to the next thing.
And this is a pilot. You don't know how much.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Stanley Kubrick and do 72 takes of someone grabbing a doorknob.
Cool. Well, then I'm going to place the blame solely back on the dog walker.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because if you do a few takes and you sense like this guy's not getting any better, you can't teach a guy how to act while also losing daylight, while also worried about paying the crew overtime.
No disrespect to dog walkers. I'm just saying that the skills required for a dog walker are very different than the skills required to be a leading man. I wouldn't
want a dog walker flying my plane either. Right. So it's not.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear about
being in your lane. That's all.
Yeah. So, and at this point, this stranger also gives her the goddamn ugliest fucking necklace I've ever fucking seen in my life.
The cross.
And the thing is like, it's so ugly. Like, I get that he's giving it to her as like here's a protection over your heart, because vampires don't like crosses. But I'm just like, it's so fucking ugly that any vampire is going to look at it and be like, oh, that's a weapon. Nobody would wear that for fashion.
Well, first, two things. One, it's the size of 2 sticks of butter.
It's grotesque.
Enormous. She looks like an NFL linebacker doing a post-game press conference. Second of all, it's shaped like 2 sticks of butter. There's no ornate. There's no detail. There's no carving. There's no. It's a
weapon.
Right.
It's a weapon functioning as a necklace.
She has a tire iron.
Yeah.
And one of those, cross you change your flat tire with, hanging from her necklace.
And also, we're going to meet a character later that also wears a big giant cross necklace, or would wear a big giant cross necklace that would be so ornate and Victorian and beautiful, and would do just as much damage to a vampire if he grabbed it.
Yeah. And you get to feel like, okay, so obviously watching the pilot, we don't know Angel's deal yet, but he's been around a long time. He would more likely have an old, cool, ornate cross than run to K Jewelers and buy this.
Girl, this is not K Jewelers. This is Costco. Like, this is bad. Claire's.
We literally just joined Costco, so no hate to Costco, but we're not buying jewelry there.
People aren't. Yeah. Same with, you don't hire a dog walker to be your leading man. You don't go to Costco for jewelry, I don't think.
It's fair.
Anyway,
but holy shit, is it ugly.
It's real ugly. All right, so now we're inside the bronze, And we poor Giles, goddamn. And they did this to Donald Sutherland as well. So like Buffy goes in, she sees Willow. Willow they have this cute little conversation about where Buffy tells Willow, "You're super cute. You can talk to boys you should date. Seize the day." Then I spy with my little eye up in the balcony, Giles looking like a predator.
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate. Like, I'm just like, Giles is just trying to do his job as a goddamn watcher.
A creepy guy who's probably 5 years younger than I am now,
right,
hanging out at a nightclub.
Right.
Spells trouble.
But it's also, and he's going to get a lot of flack. I love his tweed jackets. I think it's a vibe. I just think if you're trying to like not stick out like the librarian at a high school hang, maybe leave the tweed jacket at home.
Well, this is pre-hipster. I think now he would have a tribe.
Vibes. Oh yeah,
he would have a tribe in the tweed jackets.
Right.
1997, hipsters weren't a thing yet.
Yeah, and again, where we know Rupert Giles came from, I just don't buy that he wouldn't know how to show up to a club.
That he would go, I'm going to alter. Well, it's sort of like we just watched episode 2 of The Studio, the Seth Rogen thing.
God, I can't even talk. I have to go. I can't even.
Kim's recommendation, but basically
it wasn't a recommendation. It was
a dare.
It was a dare.
But it's the cringiest thing you've ever seen. It's brilliant. You should watch it. But Seth Rogen is a studio head who shows up to set, and he's in a suit, and everyone's kind of like making fun of him, like, "Oh, you show up in a suit, everyone knows here." So he goes to wardrobe and puts on like an extra's clothing, so he blends in with the cast.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's a skill that Giles would have. He would have his, "Oh, this is my nightclub clothes. I'm gonna go to wardrobe,
exactly,
put on my nightclub clothes."
Exactly.
Although,
Kim, if you're watching, she's never gonna watch this. Kim, you're never gonna watch this. But if you do, fuck you for making me watch episode 2 of the Studio. It was really good, but I had trouble going to sleep. I was so upset.
And she watched the whole thing like with her sweater pulled over her head, watching it through the cable knit.
I was
sweater.
So upset.
She watches horror movies for a living, and she was more terrified by the cringe in this.
Oh my God, I'm not kidding.
All right.
Kim, my fucking heartbeat talking about that episode. Anyway, back to the Hellmouth. I'd rather hang out with vampires than relive that. Okay, so Buffy goes up there, and Giles is like, "Once a Slayer, always a Slayer. You need to surveil this club.
You gotta Jason Bourne this shit."
And he wants her to, use her Slayer sense. She doesn't need to. She uses her fashion sense,
which is always Buffy's like secret weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in the film as well.
Yeah, my keen fashion sense, and then she,
yeah.
So she sees that the guy in the 70s outfit couldn't possibly be a contemporary of hers, and we also see that he happens to be sniffing around someone who was just told to seize the day.
Right. So I'm going to go back to Willow in this scene just for a second. So before she goes up to talk to Giles, she gives Willow a pep talk, like, "Hey, just because you're like the mousy nerdy girl, you can go talk to boys. Like, what's worse that happened?"
Yeah.
Well, what's worse that happened is he's a vampire, but neither one of them knows that yet.
Yeah.
But for as much as Cordelia dragged her for her outfit at school, this thing she's wearing in this scene, this cottagecore grandma ensemble, is rough. Holy shit.
It's bad. And like her mom definitely picked that out as well.
Yeah.
And I'm
like, it's so bad you almost think Willow might be mentally ill.
Right. Like it's really bad. And she figures it out. We also learn about like who Willow's parenting is later, and you go back and you watch this and it kind of starts to make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, not doing anyone any favors. So Willow is about to is flirting with a vampire.
That 70s show is about to make a meal out of her.
Yep. And Jesse is also sniffing around Cordelia, who is wildly not having
She's got her not interested sign out.
Yeah. I mean, she could, which I'm just like, girl, are you looking at Eric Balfour? Like, he cute. Like, what is happening? Like, why doesn't she see how hot he is?
Because she's goddamn Regina George. That's why. It's all about pecking order, hierarchy.
Was Regina George also blind? Is that
no? But she saw herself as elevated. A lioness does not consort with
I hear you.
A meerkat.
I'll never forget, though, when the popular girl in my class, the Cordelia, literally dated the Xander at my school as well. And it was fucking scandalous. I was going to say,
scandalo.
It was okay. Anyway.
My name is Cordelia Chase, and I am a massive deal.
I do not wish for that movie to be referenced on my show. Thank you very much.
The musical Mean Girls is it? We got an 86. Got a line right through Mean Girls musical. Noted.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, so Buffy then sees that Willow has been taken outside by 70s
that
70s show. And so she goes out to follow her, doesn't find her, is startled by Cordelia, whips out a steak and is about to stake Cordelia. And this is actually where Cordelia had my second favorite line. And again, her delivery, spot on. She knows how to do it. She knows what to throw away and what to keep. And so Buffy goes to like stab her, and then Buffy runs off when she realizes it's Cordelia, and her friends come out to make sure she's okay. And she says, "Excuse me, I have to call everyone I've ever met right now." And it's just like so fantastic, her delivery.
And opposite of the please line, which is a setup for a big moment, but she gets more out of it by underplaying it. This is a line that is a nothing line, and she makes it awesome.
I guess this is like a Charisma Carpenter acting appreciation podcast.
Huge fan.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I don't know why she hasn't had a bigger career.
I think she was traumatized
by Tox Weasel
sets and said, you know what, maybe I don't need this bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, so Buffy goes outside to find Willow. Cordelia goes back inside. Oh no, I'm sorry. Guys, I'm reading my notes in real time. I apologize. We see that Jessie inside has moved on to a familiar blonde that we recognize from the beginning as Darla.
Well, she introduces herself as Darla.
This is where we learn her name. And she's not in Bumpy Face. Right. So we don't.
She's incognito mode.
Yeah. So we're like, sheesh, right? But we got to go check on Kool-Aid Mouth. We haven't been down to Kool-Aid Mouth for a minute, so we got to see
her in Kool-Aid Mouth.
Yeah, we got to see what he's up to. So he's coming up out of his Kool-Aid puddle now, and we learn that Kevin the vampire, his job is to like bring sacrifices to the master so that he can, I don't know, get the power to break the barrier or whatever the fuck he's doing. He's trapped. Yeah. So we need sacrifices to untrap him. That's what we learn about what's happening down there. Buffy is going to look for Willow, and Xander joins her because he's like, oh, right. I heard your little conversation. You're a Slayer, ain't ya?
Yeah, he said, unless they're a vampire.
Yeah, and
in which case you would have to slay them.
Yeah, and she's like, was there a fucking bulletin? She says fucking.
Don't recall that.
Was there a bulletin going out about me being the Slayer? It's a great little moment. And this is where, again, it's so funny. Xander is such a tool in this scene. And again, I love Xander. I truly love Xander.
And
he is an effing tool in this episode.
We've been singing the praises of Charisma Carpenter. Nicholas Brennan also amazing.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it.
The fact that Xander makes our skin crawl is a testament to how well Nicholas Brennan plays him.
Yes. Agreed. And it's really interesting, especially knowing that like Xander was written from the like in the voice of Tox Weasel.
Yeah. That's his stand-in.
Much like he probably stumbled into the feminist iconography that he wrote. I wonder if he knows that he wrote Xander as such a fucking douchebag.
Did he think he was writing Xander, oh, this is me and everyone's going to love him?
Yeah. And in fact, it's like, no, you literally wrote a side character that's mad that he's not the main character.
Yes.
Which is like so unappealing.
Right.
And again, I'm going to say attributed to Nicholas Brendan. Another actor playing this role, we could have been like, kill this motherfucker.
Right.
Get him out of here. He's not part of our main cast. I hate this guy. But Nicholas Brendan, I think, brings the thing that is the heart of, frankly, the character of Xander, where you're like,
which is kind of what becomes his role in the Scooby Gang.
Exactly.
He does become the heart of the thing. We don't want to get into.
Yeah, but they lucked into that.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. So
Nicholas Brendan is exactly what this show needed.
So there's a funny story. Again, it might be apocryphal. I'm probably wrong, almost certainly wrong. But the story as I know it is that Tox, we know, went on to direct the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the movie, they've won. Tony Stark falls out of the sky, right? He's in the wormhole, pops his mask off, and his line as written was, "What's next?" Mm-hmm. They get there on the day. Robert Downey Jr. is like, "This line sucks. Like, this is the last line of the goddamn movie, and this is terrible." So Tox, to his credit, remembered when Nicholas Brendan auditioned for Buffy. He does his audition, he knocks it out of the park, and then he goes, "Anybody want shawarma? I'm in the mood for shawarma." He carried that around in his brain, and Robert Downey Jr. is like, "We need a new line. We need a new line." And Tox says, "Say that. Say you're in the mood for shawarma, and ask them if they want to get shawarma." And it worked. And then they went and shot a scene of the Avengers eating shawarma. And what's funny is Chris Evans is just sitting there on the table with his hand over his mouth because he had a beard because he was shooting Snowpiercer.
Oh my God, that's so
he's
funny.
He's at the table hiding his beard. But that was all just Nicholas Brendan in the room being him.
Yeah.
And it won him the part.
I hope he gets his shit together.
Yeah,
I really want him to get his shit together.
Well, you said you saw his IMDb that none of them are huge movies, but he is being cast in things, and he's
working. Like he's getting
coming up.
He's getting insured, which is good. So fingers crossed for the sequel. I don't know.
And yeah, the whole reason we started the show is because we were excited about the revival at Hulu, and we thought, well, we're going to watch the show from the beginning.
And we said,
this one goes, let's not just watch it. Let's film us watching it and talking about it. So like that's the whole reason we're here. Although, and we can get into the revival as the news comes out, but I don't know if there's plans for any of the original cast to do more than like kind of cameos.
Well,
outside of Sarah,
just let me believe in my heart.
But I hope I saw an interview with Seth Green that he's totally down to come back. So he's like, if there's stories, if Oz has a story, I'll show up to tell it. So that was very cool. We're almost done.
Yeah.
I take us on last side quests. Apologies. Let's proceed.
Welcome to my marriage. Okay. So Buffy comes to a very familiar cemetery and finds 70s vamp in a mausoleum who is actively about to eat our poor dear sweet baby Willow. So she comes in there and then she's joined by Darla in Bumpy Face and Big Luke Kevin the vampire and Jesse who's been bitten. He's gotten a very
it looks like a superficial
exuberant hickey from Darla.
Yeah, and it's not fatal, and Darla's like, I just had a snack, like I just needed a little taste. So she wasn't trying to kill him, she wasn't necessarily trying to turn him, but he's injured bad.
And when they realize she's the Slayer, Darla runs off. Who else runs off? Probably she kills 70s vampire. He gets dusted.
Cool. Yeah. The difference from the film, the introduction of the Thanosing of the vampires.
Yeah.
Also the bumpy head. And I got to say the production value, the makeup, and you made this comment when we watched the episode, was the commitment to really intricate hours in the makeup chair for the looks of their vampires. And then they never went away from it. They definitely learned to use it sparingly.
Yeah.
But the look of Youth Pastor Luke, Kool-Aid Man, very good. It wasn't like cheap rubber Star Trek masks.
No.
But an interesting idea to make I always say they look like Klingons. Like they got the really pronounced wrinkly forehead.
Yeah.
Such a creative idea. Not something I'd seen before.
Yeah. I wonder what it was like. It had to have been based on a creature. I think it's got to be like, I wonder if there's a bat
that's
got like Yeah, I'm curious. We'll find out.
That was my vampire face.
So Buffy's fighting the vamps, and Cool Hand Luke comes in, and
Pastor Luke,
Luth Pastor Luke comes in, and he's a big old boy.
Yeah,
he's real big,
foot taller than everybody,
and
a great voice. I don't know what that actor's name is. He's got an awesome voice.
Yeah, and this isn't exactly a fight move. We're going to talk about our favorite fight moves in an episode. So this isn't it, but this was a great stunt because the fighting in the pilot is not piloty. Like, it's good.
I think it goes back and forth. I think we get some Star Trek fights, and we get some, like, whenever it's Sarah's. Does she go by Sarah or Sarah Michelle? Like, what do her buddies call her?
Sarah.
All right, so whenever it's her stunt woman, fucking amazing.
So in this scene, Luke throws her, and basically she like lands on the fucking crypt, on her back, like in a way that would absolutely snap a person's spine.
Kind of thing that would take Spider-Man out.
Yeah, and it's just legit. Yeah. Like, it's really legit looking. Yeah. So we end the episode with Buffy hiding in the crypt, kind of.
She's like in a coffin.
Looking around.
Jason Bourne clocking all the exits, seeing what she can use in her environment.
Yep. But here comes. This was scary. Mm-hmm. Here comes Youth Pastor Luke, Kevin the vampire, like fucking perches on top of the coffin.
Right.
And comes down at her horror movie like, and then
right next to her.
To be continued.
Which was wild. Which was a great cliffhanger. You definitely want to see what's going to happen.
You fucking knew that people were going to tune in for episode 2. Brilliant.
This is a real. When we sat down to watch this, I had always remembered, it's kind of a wonky pilot, but like there's some charm to it. But it's definitely like, no, this was fucking great.
Mathematically, it's a perfect pilot.
Pretty close. I'd give it an A-, but they efficiently build the world. They introduce all the characters. It introduces that quippy signature dialogue, which doesn't always hit. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think I was impressed. I hadn't watched this pilot in a few years. Way better than I remembered, way better than I gave it credit for in my mind. So bravo to Team Buffy.
Yeah. All right, let's shall we move into our superlatives?
Yeah, let's do it.
We've already kind of talked about some of them.
We're doing yearbook committee now. So we've got first thing we do is most likely. We're going to pick a character every week, does something in the episode, and then we decide what they are most likely to be in the future. Who's your first? Who's your most likely?
Xander is the most likely to put his foot in his mouth.
Okay, that's fair. I think we're going to see a lot of that. He is, in fact, a bibbling idiot.
Yes, agreed.
Mine was also Xander, and I think you kind of mentioned this already. Xander, I nominate Xander for most likely to never ride a skateboard again in the rest of the show.
Yep.
The next 7 years, we never see him near a skateboard.
Never see him near a skateboard.
Who you got for best line?
Best line I talked about was Cordelia saying, "Excuse me, I have to call everyone I've ever met right now."
Fantastic line. I went with Buffy talking about the library. That place just kind of gives me the Wiggins. I think that is such a great...
Interesting
use of the Buffy speak that the show, the slanguage, if you will,
the slanguage. So
I just think
is it wigging out. Like, what is the
wigging out was a thing we said before. No one had ever said the Wiggins before this.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that's a great. That is a good example.
What's your worst line?
I think
we're in the same thing. I don't have it written as character, so it might be hard to.
I only have to say three words.
All right. So these are the girls in the locker room that are making fun of Buffy's name, even though their names are horrible. This is an example of that Buffy speak not quite hitting the mark. This is some stuff that this is. I hate to keep bringing up Mean Girls, but this is so. You're trying to make this happen. You're trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah.
And none of this happens.
None of this happens.
And it never comes back. Yeah. At least they had the good sense to drop all of this.
Yeah.
So the chatter in the calf is that she got kicked out.
Neg.
Pause. she was starting fights.
Negly.
What in the world is any of that?
Okay, so negative,
right?
Pause, positive. So instead of saying no way, she's saying neg and negly. And Aura is answering with pause, as in positively.
It's terrible dialogue. It's
so
clunky and weird, and it's trying way too hard.
It's so upsetting. I felt so bad for those two actresses that are never to be seen again. And honestly,
this is the only thing on their reel is them saying this ridiculous
is them
dialogue.
saying that, and it's just like R.I.P. to their careers.
And I also like it's unfair because they didn't know this at the time, but I'm bringing the baggage of imagining pickup artist mystery with a slash hat,
right,
and swimming goggles and painted nails. Though I paint my nails a lot, so I'm not going to make fun.
Yeah, but it's a different vibe.
And a Jack the Ripper jacket, walking around in his steampunk attire, insulting girls that he wants to sleep with and calling that a neg as though somehow that elevates it. So,
yeah, move it along. I think Ethel has to pee.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. Okay, so my honorable mention for worst line is that fucking prologue.
Yeah.
That is clunkier than Willow's grandma shoes that she wears to the bronze.
Mm-hmm.
All right, best outfit. Who you got?
Okay, it's ironic because this was, in fact, an outfit that I told him was inappropriate for the setting. That does not mean that I don't love the vibe of Giles's whole thing.
The tweed,
the vest, the elbow pads, the glasses, all of it. Listen, don't wear it to a club, but wear it to the bedroom.
He can get it. Mine, Cordy's first outfit. The sheer top with the striped sleeves and the green pants. Now, she looks like a MILF who's there to pick up her kids from high school.
A billion.
But also, she looks fucking phenomenal.
Right.
So that's mine. Who's your worst outfit?
My worst outfit is Buffy's on her way to the fucking bronze, like she is a corporate executive on her first day. Like, I'm just like a corporate assistant, not executive.
Is that
corporate
this episode
assistant.
Or is that the second episode?
No, it's this episode. She's wearing like a blue button-down shirt over a white top and then like black slacks with her hair up in a French twist. She literally looks like she's an intern at Goldman Sachs who's supposed to be fetching coffee for the executives.
Well, I've always said that, and we're going to get into that more. Obviously, we're going to have a whole section where we talk about the outfits, but for this fashion-forward teenager who has so many iconic looks, a lot of the time, Buffy looks like she's either going to show a house that's for sale, or heading to her job at the bank, or she's about to broadcast the 6:00 news. Like, her outfits are crazy.
But that being said, one thing that millennials are made fun of for is there was a period where like our club attire was like business casual.
Yeah, it's
weird. Insane.
My worst outfit was Willow's. I brought it up. Grandma cottage core at the bronze.
Yeah.
Unfortunate across the board.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's everything we had planned.
Wait, I had a
closing
best move.
Oh, best move. I didn't do best move on this one. So
that's right. Best move for me was it's a little showy, but I think for the pilot, it was exactly what we needed.
Right.
When we have Buffy
I know what you're talking about.
Doing a handstand on a bar above the alley to hide from Angel.
Yeah.
And then she flips down and kicks him in the face.
She's in a full handstand, suspended.
The move was so like silly, but it was like, oh shit, now I see what this show is going to do with fights.
Is a ninja.
Yeah.
And she's good at her job. I think we needed to see her be good at her job.
Agreed. And
this accomplished
it was fantastic.
Love that.
All right.
So closing up, housekeeping. Go check out KK Sam, Kim and Ket Stay Alive Maybe, which is our other show that she stars on with Kim Burns, who we're going to try and get to guest on here as often as we can.
Yeah.
She's going to join us for some of our Buffy shenanigans.
She has a choice.
Follow them at KK Sam Podcast on all the things. Listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts. Had some questions already. This show is going to live on YouTube for now. There are reasons for that. Maybe we can talk about that next episode. Mm-hmm. There may be a thing where you get an audio version, but we primarily want this to be a show. We built a whole set. Like, this is meant to be looked at for better or for worse. You can find us on social media at Major Slayage Pod on all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So please follow us: TikTok, Bluesky, Instagram. Yeah, that's
it. I guess if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Ketryn P. Sure.
I pretty much only post the same stuff I post on the socials for this, so no need to do both for me. Just follow this.
And
I'll hit you with all the stuff. Thanks for joining us, you guys. I hope this was cool. I hope this was fun. We will see you next Monday for episode 2, The Harvest. I'm Eric.
I'm Ketryn.
And we didn't work out what our sign off is, so we'll figure that out next time.
Who knows?
Bye, you guys.
Bye.